Two brothers, 10 years separated in age, but deeply bonded to one another. In the early 1920s and 30s, the Hutch boys were the talk of Rainier Beach. Both were talented and driven. Fred was a rising athletic star throughout his youth, and in 1939 signed a pro contract with the Detroit Tigers. That same year, his brother Bill was starting out as a surgical intern in Baltimore. Fred reached national fame with Detroit as a player and later a manager, and his competitive edge made him legendary. Then in 1954, Fred became embroiled in a contract dispute and left Detroit. Fred's next managerial stop, the Seattle Rainiers. The Hutch boys were back together in the Pacific Northwest, and each was raising a family.
When all the family got together, it was crazy. Somebody was fighting about this or that or wanted a different toy.
But it was pretty fun because Bill and Fred had great senses of humor, and they got us going. They would set up these competitive situations for us and sometimes even got the boxing gloves out.
Fred would give Seattle a PCL championship, then leave for St. Louis. That same year, Dr. Bill founded the Pacific Northwest Research Foundation, the first nonprofit biomedical research institute in the Northwest and predecessor to Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. Both brothers' careers were skyrocketing. Fred would manage the Cincinnati Reds to the 1961 World Series, while Bill was creating plans for an even larger cancer research facility. Despite their professional successes, the brothers were about to face their greatest personal challenge together. Fred discovered a small lump on his neck.
Obviously, Dad was shaken up when he got the news.
Fred just said, "Give it to me straight," and he did. He looked at his brother and he said, "You've got lung cancer, and it's not good."
Fred returned to the Northwest to seek treatment, but his mind was always on baseball.
You know, obviously it was a tough time for him. He was trying to figure out how that was going to interfere with his managing, and there was no way he was not going to spring training and taking care of things.
He returned to manage the club he loved, but the unrelenting cancer forced him to retire mid-season. Fred was named Man of the Year by Sports Magazine in 1964 and died of lung cancer later that same year.
My grandfather said he was a great baseball player, a good man, a hard-nosed athlete, and very, very dedicated to his profession.
With the death of his brother, Bill's focus on cancer only seemed to intensify. He raised private funds and government support to build Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in honor of his brother.
The mission of the center, when it was formed, was quite simply to eliminate cancer as a cause of suffering and death. He felt that we could create an organization that would make a major contribution in eliminating cancer.
Bill's commitment never wavered throughout the remainder of his life. Today, the Hutchinson Center is world-renowned, with a team of more than 3,000 faculty and staff and 3 Nobel Prize recipients. Many believe Dr. Hutchinson would be proud of what has been accomplished in the center's short history.
If he walked into the buildings, he would meet the scientists, and he would encounter incredibly bright individuals who have stature in the world of science, and I think he couldn't fail to be impressed by seeing what's happening today here.
Two brothers who traveled different paths, yet together have created a legacy for the research and someday a cure for cancer. In 1965, 3 of Fred's friends created the Hutch Award as a way to memorialize Fred and to recognize baseball players that exemplify his honor, courage, and dedication, both on and off the baseball field.